Welcome to the UAC Easter Stages Rally and round 2 of the Irish Tarmac Championships. It's County Antrim, it's Ballyclare, and the weather conditions are perfect for the Ducks.
The 2018 UAC Easter Stages Rally replaces the Circuit of Ireland, which hasn't run now for 2 years due to the lack of funding from the stalled Stormont executive, and the famous event has now been dropped out of the European Rally Championship as a result. Bobby Willis, the Circuit of Ireland coordinator, hopes to resurrect the event in 2019, but that will depend entirely on receiving the necessary backing for what was the most popular event on the ERC calendar. The action in Ulster will focus on the new generation R5 cars, which are now only allowed to contest for championship honours, although Derek McGarity, the former Irish Tarmac Championship winner, has entered a World Rally Subaru Impreza in a bid to win the event, but won't be able to collect series points. We will be concentrating in this programme on the R5 battle for championship honours. We'll also give a nod to some of the other classes, including the modified, historic, junior and the other various classes contesting this year's event. Fresh from the second place in West Cork, which yielded maximum championship points, Monaghan's Josh Moffat in the Fiesta is the number 1 seed for this weekend's event.
More difficult rally, do you think, than West Cork?
I don't know, the conditions there today is definitely going to make it difficult. So look at, there's Desi and Barbel, Sam, all those boys are going to be pushing extremely hard, so it's going to really hard to tell, but let's see what happens.
Josh, who had throttle problems on day 2 of West Cork, only had a 9.3 second advantage over his brother Sam, who slots into the number 2 or 5 runner slot.
So what's it all about today? Tyres and...
Yeah, it's going to be tyres, tricky conditions here this morning. A lot of standing water, we believe, more rain to come. So yeah, going to be a lot of rain tyres and trying to just get a good feel of it from the start.
Dubliner Robert Barrable, third in the current standings after switching from the Hyundai i20 to a Ford Fiesta for 2018, is at number 4 in an event that runs under MSA rules. Johnny Greer's back to the Fiesta he ran in West Cork and starts along with Desi Henry in his Skoda Fabia R5. Daniel Cronin, the younger brother of Keith Cronin, the 4-time British champion, is seated at 8. It's a short, sharp UAC Easter Stages rally this year, as we see the first of the drivers head out for the first of 6 stages of the event on day 1 near Templepatrick, as the Mayor of Antrim and Newtonabbey sees the cars away from rally start in Ballyclare. To say the route is a compact one would be an understatement. Just 2 stages run 3 times on day 1 to make up the opening 6 runs. Stages 1, 3 and 5 are at Ladyhill, which is a sharp 6.33 mile burst, while stages 2, 4 and 6 at Lyles Hill is over 8.82 miles, with the overnight halt Parc Fermé in Antrim. It wasn't pretty out in the stages for the first 4 of this year's event, with heavy rain in the area, and only the diehards out on the ditches to watch the competitors on this year's Easter Stages. Derek McGarity in his World Rally Subaru Impreza splashed his way into the lead on what he described as the wettest roads he's ever experienced. The 7-time Northern Ireland champion and 2-time Irish Tarmac champion held a narrow 4.5 second lead in his Impreza at the end of the first 4 stages in what was essentially his home event.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Now, the last stage was very, very tricky, very wet, much wetter than I thought it would be. So we had a bit of a moment the last stage into a chicane. Chicanes are horrendously tight, but apart from that, good.
McGarity led after 4 from a raging battle behind for the all-important R5 division, which was led by the Fiesta of Josh Moffat, who collected maximum points in the opening round in West Cork. Flying into view and third after 4, just 5.7 seconds behind, was the Skoda Fabia of Marty McCormack, the former British junior champion, trying hard to fight off the challenge of the Moffat brothers, Josh and Sam. Sam, the reigning tarmac champion, was 4th overall after a slow enough start to lie 17.7 seconds off McGarrity's lead. Sam is concentrating fully on the tarmac series this season after last year's clean sweep of tarmac, forestry and national titles in his R5 Ford Fiesta. With the event being run under MSA rules rather than under the auspices of Motorsport Ireland, drivers had to contend with some differing rules, including not being able to use cut slick tyres. Robert Barrable spent some time before the event trying to ascertain whether or not he could run them, and after 4 stages his Fiesta was 5th, just 3.8 seconds behind Sam Moffat.
5 left, minus continues, 160. So slowing 3 right and 1 right.
A change of tyres.
Yeah, nearly underpants as well, but now we're going to go on to a full wet compound tyre now. We didn't think the rain was going to be as bad, but no, it was worse than expected, so we're cautious enough first 2 stages, and then we're going to go on to the full wet tyre now and then see what the next loop was.
Cork's Daniel Cronin is showing signs of his growing maturity, and although he was caught out by 1 or 2 of those tight chicanes, he was 6th on the overall standings with 2 stages to go on the opening day in his Fiesta. After a bright start, Desi Henry faded a little to lie in 7th place after the opening 4 stages, blaming his plight on the wrong tyre choice for the wet conditions.
Crest into 4 right plus, half long opens 40. Flat 4 left plus over crest, you can see it in flat 80. Flat 7 left over crest in 150. Flat 6 left 100. See late 2 right plus over bridge. See late 2 right plus. Late and no, late.
Desi's brother Niall was also competing on the Easter stages, making the switch from a Mitsubishi Evo to a Citroën DS3 R5, and he was nicely inside the top 20. Johnny Greer was still waiting to get his hands on a new R5 Citroën, so he was back on board a Ford Fiesta for the Easter Stages rally, where he was 8th after 4, 14.1 seconds off Desi Henry at that point. Stephen Wright from Monaghan was 9th in another Ford Fiesta as he's worked his way through the wet conditions on day 1. Wright was almost 50 seconds down after 4 on the overall leader, Derek McGarrity. Eugene Donnelly was 9th in the Hyundai i20 in the West Cork Rally, but he found himself down in 14th here after 4 stages. Another of the World Rally cars competing near the top of the overall leaderboard is the Mini of Alan Carmichael. Eugene Donnelly actually drove a similar car to this in Ireland a few years back, and Carmichael was 10th overall after the opening 4 stages.
Absolute crest jump into bumps, 170, 1 right, 80, then a 6-wheel chicane, right hand entry.
Well, Alan, how's that?
That's good. It's the first 2 stages was a nightmare, but the second 2 dried up, so we're starting to eat into the time of these guys in front of us in these wee cars now.
As with all rounds of the Tarmac Series, there are rallies within rallies. This was the Mitsubishi Lancer of Alan Smith, who led the modified class, and he was 11th on the overall standings after 4 stages. It was a bit of a surprise to see the Mark 1 Escort of Keith White and Paul Mulholland lying in 2nd place in modifieds after the opening 4 tests. White indeed was heading the modified champion Kevin Eves in his Toyota Corolla. Eves was 3rd in the class in West Cork, but because the 2 cars ahead of him weren't championship registered, the Donegal driver took full class points. Frank and Lauren Kelly were well in the modified mix on the early part of day 1, but the Mark II Escort didn't see out the opening day and retired after 4. Camillus Bradley and Crawford Henderson were elevated to 4th in modified after the Kelly retirement of the Ford Escort, as the stages began thankfully to dry out. Rodney White and Sam McMullen in the Sunbeam were right on Bradley's tail, and after 4 were just 1.3 seconds off the Escort.
Into 6 right in, into flat crest, into 6 right, 100, 6 left, 80, and 6 left past the gate.
Stanley Orr and Graham Henderson led the historic class to this point in their Escort Mark 1.
Stanley, lovely Mark 1, historic. How you find it?
Enjoying it certainly, but slippy, and the stage is dried out for a bit on that run, but yeah, happy enough, pleased.
Ernie Graham and Damien Shields lay second to Orr in historics after 4.
Well, I live away over in England now and have done for years, but this is a rally that's really close to my heart. It's around where I grew up, and in fact tomorrow the road past our house where I grew up is part of the stage, so that's going to be a dangerous one for me, I think.
Some of the other championship registered modified cars included Jason Roach and Noel Coogan in their Mark II Escort. J.R. McDade and Gerard Callahan in another Escort were some 5 minutes adrift of the overall lead after 4 stages. And not such a great start for Wesley Patterson and Johnny Baird on their local event in the Mark II. Patterson, a previous historic class winner on both the Donegal and the Rally of the Lakes. John Mulholland and Aidan O'Connor were just behind Patterson in their Escort, more recently known for campaigning in a Skoda Fabia on tarmac and a Subaru Impreza in the forests.
And we're turning square left at the trees. Just up where that car is, just beyond it. Okay, don't outbrake yourself now. Down the box. 80. Well done. Well done, boy. Middle over crest, 100.
Leading the Group N class, William Mavety and Brian Daniels looking to make it 2 from 2 in their class after their win in West Cork. In the R2 two-wheel drive class, the leader was the Peugeot 208 of Kyle White and Sean Topping. Second in R2, Will Graham and Stephen Smith in the Ford Fiesta, with Josh McLernan, who's also a British Rally Championship junior driver, third in class. And after the opening morning rain had thankfully abated, the conditions were good for the final loop over the remaining 2 stages on day 1 of this year's event. And the leader at the end of day 1, the Subaru Impreza S14 of the veteran Derek McGarity. McGarity was out to win the event, if not collect points, and he held an overnight lead of 6.5 seconds. Now second at the end of day 1 was Marty McCormack and David Moynihan in the Fabia, the pair overtaking Josh Moffat on the final 2 tests on the opening day. Despite being relegated to third overnight, Josh Moffat was still in a good position. Josh collected maximum points in the West Cork Rally, the opening round of the series, and overnight he was still on course for another maximum. His Fiesta a mere 0.5 of a second off McCormack. Sam Moffat chased his brother hard in West Cork and was on the charge again in the drying conditions of the Easter stages. His Fiesta was 4.4 seconds off Josh after 6 stages. The top 5 was completed by another Fiesta, that of Rob Barrable and Damien Connolly. The pace of the top 3 or 5 cars just a little too hot for the Dublin-based Barrable. Sadly, this was the last we saw the Fabia of Desi Henry. His rally was run before the day was out.
So Desi, what happened?
Yeah, we were just pushing a wee bit too much, and we got it wrong and got caught out in the mud down under a 3 right, and we just went straight on under a field. So when we went, we hit a rock on the way in and broke the 2 wheels. So we had only 1 spare with us, so we couldn't continue.
And here's the top 5 at the end of 6 stages. Derek McGarity has the lead in the Subaru Impreza S14. Second, it's Marty McCormack ahead of Josh Moffat, Sam Moffat and Robert Barrable.
It's a misty start here in the Glens of Antrim for the UAC Easter Stages Rally and round 2 of the Irish Tarmac Rally Championships. Very little divide to the drivers at the top. We've got all the action from day 2 on the way next.
Welcome back to day 2 of the UAC Easter Stages Rally and the remaining 6 stages on this year's event. Disaster, however, for the overnight leader Derek McGarity. His Impreza, when he parked it overnight, was fine, but it wouldn't budge on the Saturday morning. The gear system on his car is controlled by electronics plus hydraulics, and there wasn't a flicker out of the system. Although the engine was fine, he was forced to retire. Making it 2 service ahead of day 2 were the 2 Moffat brothers, Josh and Sam. Could they reel in the new leader, Marty McCormick, in a Skoda Fabia on day 2? Much discussion on their plan of attack. A pincer moving perhaps on McCormick.
Marty, leading the Easter stages, day 2, you must be pretty pleased with yourself.
It's not the way you want to, inherit these things, but look, we're going out there this morning. The Moffats are both there, only half a second to Josh, and Sam's only a few behind that. So, I've got a lot of good challengers there.
3 new stages out there today, and it's going to be tough going for sure. We're half a second behind Marty, and Sam's not far off us, so it's going to be tight going this morning.
Yeah, there's only a handful of seconds between the top 3 of us here, so big push this morning, try and get the tyres right and go for it.
And this is what the remaining cars and crews are facing on day 2. 3 stages repeated twice at Scott Hill, which saw stages 7 and 10. Runs 8 and 11 were at Corks Hill, while stages 9 and 12, the final stage, were close to Ballymena at Knockboy Hill. And in contrast to the opening day's action, the stages on day 2 were much drier, with the weather improving to allow spectators a much more comfortable vantage point to see the cars traverse the final 6 stages on this year's event. And with those drying stages, a big push by Josh Moffat and navigator Andy Hayes as they moved into the lead after 9 stages. The Fiesta overtook McCormick on the first stage of day 2, and after 9, they led by 8 seconds. Second now, Sam Moffat and Carl Atkinson. They too overtook McCormick on the opening stage of day 2, Scott Hill. And with 3 to run, they could turn their attention now on hunting down Josh Moffat. Marty McCormick saw the Moffats coming and was now third in the Fabia, 2.3 seconds off Sam Moffat. Robert Barable up to 4th now with McGarrity's retirement, and after 4 stages his Fiesta was 34.8 seconds back from Josh Moffat. Barring an off from those in front, there'll be too big a gap to close over the remaining 3 stages, and Barable knew it.
Into crest, 5 right, 5 left minus, small bit of shiny, 120. 120 crest long, 4 left minus.
Well, Robert, how was that?
Yeah, happy enough, yeah. Just kind of no man's land now. Sam and Josh took a good bit of time off us in the first 2, so no real drive to push on, but we're happy enough where we are and just let them race away and go and see what we can do the next loop.
Daniel Cronin and Shane Buckley were having a great Easter stages and were now 5th in the Fiesta. Cronin's appearing more and more at the head of affairs and was 52.2 seconds off the lead in the Fiesta. Johnny Greer and Kirsty Riddick were 6th in their Fiesta, but with 3 to go, they could well catch Cronin, as there was less than 4 seconds between the pair. A spin, though, catching Greer out on stage 9. The leading World Rally car was now Alan Carmichael and co-driver Ivor Lamont in the Mini Countryman. He may have had a World Rally car under his heel, but the pace of the new generation R5s ahead was one he couldn't match.
4 left plus in the tree in the left, and 4 right plus. 100, 4 right, and they're 2 right half long, 4 right and they're 2 right half long, and 1 right plus. Yep. 350, depth, and they're 5 left, you can see it there. See it. 250.
Stephen Wright was in a lonely 8th place in the Fiesta R5. Wright has produced some decent results in the past, including an R5 third in Killarney last year, but the opening 2 rounds of 2018 have been a little disappointing for the Monaghan driver. Eugene Donnelly was now safely inside the top 10 in the Hyundai i20, finding day 2 stages a bit more to his liking.
Well, we've changed quite a lot today, and obviously the conditions have improved, so our times have improved. Again, it's going to be very difficult to know where we are with the guys at the front until we go away from the rally and see what change we made and the difference they've made, but I'm very happy.
That was a tricky wee stage in there, so it was very slippy and fast, but yeah, look, I think we took another few seconds off Marty, so that's the main thing. We just need to find out what Sam's times are now.
So let's find out what Sam is up to.
Battle of the Brothers is heating up, isn't it? But, dry conditions have made it a bit easier, have they?
Yeah, well, we'll have to push a lot harder. Marty's there, he's giving it to us hard, so yeah, there's certainly a good battle on.
We will be returning to the battle for overall honours shortly on this year's Easter Stages. Before that, let's have a look at the class roundup. In the juniors, second home was Gareth Deasley in the Honda Civic after his off in West Cork. It was a decent return though this time around. First junior home, the winner, Gareth McNamee, adding to his win in West Cork.
Yeah, happy enough. Today went well. We had no problems all day and top points in the championship, so we're leading the championship. We won in West Cork as well, so we'll see how it goes in Killarney. Sure.
The winner of Ord3, Michael McGarrity in a Citroen DS3. In the two-wheel drive category, first home was Kyle White and Sean Topping in the Peugeot 208. Second, Josh McClernon and Aaron Johnston in their Ford Fiesta. Third home, Will Graham and Stephen Smith in the Ford Fiesta, but they scored top points for the championship.
Yes, yeah, it was a brilliant rally, really enjoyed it, and it was great to be going past our home turf.
In Historic's fourth home, Will's dad Ernie Graham and Damien Shields in their Ford Escort RS. Third home, Malcolm Pedlow and Billy Regan in their BMW. Second, Martin Freestone and Misha Freestone in the Ford Escort Mark I. The winners, Stanley Orr and Graham Henderson in their Ford Escort. Two out of two in Group N for William Mavity and Brian Daniels in their Mitsubishi Lancer.
Willie, pleased with that? You must be.
Yeah, difficult weekend, but yeah, we got to the finish, so happy with that now.
In the modified class, M1 winner, Eamon McLaughlin and Hannah Johnson in the Vauxhall Nova. M2, John Devlin and Dublin's John McCarthy in the Ford Escort. M4 winners, Alan Smith and Matt Kiernans in the Mitsubishi Lancer. And in M3 and the top overall modified crew, it's Kevin Eves and Chris Melly in the Toyota Corolla.
Kevin, another happy man?
I know, it worked out in the end now. We had a tough battle all day today. Top points in the championship, so all good.
And now to the top overall drivers. And in seventh place, Alan Carmichael in the Mini. In sixth place, Daniel Cronin. The Ford Fiesta R5 driver will be more than happy with the result as we head to the next round in Killarney. In fifth place, Jonathan Greer. Greer closed in and passed Cronin on stage 11 and kept that advantage over the final stage. A steady fourth place for Robert Barrable in the Ford Fiesta. 45.3 seconds though off the winner. Third place for Marty McCormick. He found the pace of the Moffats too hard to handle on day two and was 14.8 seconds off the winner. Second again, Sam Moffat in the Ford Fiesta R5. The gap between himself and the winner, 4.6 seconds. Which was Josh Moffat and Andy Hayes in their Ford Fiesta R5. Maximum championship points from the opening two rounds. Their Fiesta fairly singing through the County Antrim countryside.
Yeah, it's been a tough rally for sure, and Sam and the boys pushed us very hard the whole way to the end, so yeah, look, we're over the moon now.
So Josh Moffat wins the Easter Stages. Second it's Sam Moffat. Third home Marty McCormick ahead of Robert Barrable and Johnny Greer. In the championship, after two rounds, Josh Moffat leads on 34 points ahead of Sam Moffat on 28. Then Robert Barrable on 24, Daniel Cronin and Johnny Greer make up the top five.
Well, that's it from the UAC Easter Stages rally here in County Antrim. A 1-2 finish for the Moffat brothers, with Josh making it 2 in a row. Who'll stop him making it 3? Join us next time when we head to Killarney for the Rally of the Lakes.